Hey guys, how you doing? I hope you're all well. So today I want to talk about why I think Sony won't remake or remaster their OG exclusive games, such as Infamous. These two games are some of the most amazing bangers to ever grace their own genre, and easily two of the best games I've ever had the pleasure of playing. So the question is, why won't Sony revive them? You see, back then, the games were made for the sheer fun they would generate. That's why they were so popular. But aside from that fact, these exclusives are the reason Sony got a whole bunch of studios under its wings and signed exclusive deals with them to make exclusives in the first place, which basically propelled them into what they are now. These exclusives were the reason why people bought a PS3, or a PS4 for that matter. They were the main attraction for people to be like, oh my god, nobody else is doing this or even trying to. And even if they do, they don't have enough or as half as the catalog of exclusives that Sony has to provide. So that on its own became a deciding factor for them to buy a PlayStation console. These exclusive deals made a regular company like Sony into a mega corporation that is today. They would make those games and have a ton of revenue, and then next thing you know, they would make huge announcements and generate massive hype, which also on its own became a factor for people to notice PlayStation in the first place, consider investing and buying a PlayStation console. But naturally, all things come to an end. You see, around 2019, the business models changed. The live service games became the push, not the exclusives or the first-party studios. The fact that the live service games were branded as free but had a monetization plan baked in meant infinite money from a forever game for the big corporations. I've talked about this before. Up until 2019, Shohei Yoshida was the man who had helped building Sony into the successful company it became. He was the president of PlayStation's first-party studios continuously from 1993. He was a major reason why Sony was a head and shoulders above everybody else in the industry. But that soon changed when Jim Ryan took the mantle of becoming the president and CEO of Sony and aligned himself with the shareholders and started pushing for the live service genre, and soon after, Yoshida was replaced with Herman Hulst. Which, to this day, I'm still wondering if there is someone out there that genuinely likes these guys and doesn't hate their guts for the insurmountable damage that these two alone have caused. Under Jim Ryan and Hulst, we got Concord, which we all know how that turned out. I mean, if you search Concord, Herman Hulst's face literally comes up. He's literally referred to as the biggest champion of Sony's live service push. They hijacked PlayStation's first-party studios like Bluepoint in an attempt to create live service God of War, which evidently led to them shutting the studio entirely. Which, in the first place, it didn't even make sense. How could you make a God of War live service game? Like, how could you turn a masterpiece of a single-player game into that? It just doesn't make sense. But this disaster of a live service game pushing and basically getting in the way of how Sony originally worked doesn't end there. They canceled Days Gone sequel in favor of live service experiments. There was even a canceled Last of Us live service game, which I don't even know how that would even work. You know, how, again, just like God of War, how could you make a masterpiece like Last of Us into a live service game? If you have noticed the pattern, Sony changed heavily. All of a sudden, that saying of, guys, congratulations, we have achieved another milestone together, and all-around celebration for everyone. Every employee, every developer, everyone's invited. Let's have champagne and celebrate for what we have achieved and move on to the next one. All of a sudden, the tone changed. Instead of compliments, handshakes, of, oh wow, we had a budget of $18 million and we made 200 back. Wow, that's awesome, wonderful, congratulations to everyone. It changed and went to, oh, just $200 million? Maybe it would have been more. If it was a free game, full of monetization, maybe we would have made $400 million instead. But I guess thanks. Thank you. That's something you've done. from the highs and the peaks of success and prosper to a dry backhanded pat on the back. Which is ironic because Sony made all these new purchases and changed their model entirely to cater to an already saturated live service game genre, only to lose $400 million on Concord, just on Concord alone, which then became a generational meme. Or the infamous impairment loss of $765 million that came from Bungie and the stupid investment in Marathon. These guys were basically being busy chasing a pipe dream because, God forbid, they put their heads down and continue doing the good work that they were doing and be popular and successful altogether. They see an explosion of success like Fortnite, which, by the way, it fell off, or Apex, and all of a sudden, everyone wants to jump on the bandwagon. Every other plan is completely dismantled and binned, which is ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they shouldn't do live service games or they shouldn't invest in it. I'm saying, why not do both? Why is there a need to completely trash all that you've planned for the sake of live service games? Throw everything you already had planned for the next 10 years, throw them away, and basically be at a loss and still try to make live service games and be at more of a loss than you were before. Which then goes to destroy the reputation you've built on the back of first-party studios, only to push the entire company to do live service games and end up not batting this ball one time, let alone a home run. The irony and sad reality of all this is that if they had just stuck to what they were doing already, which they were good at, by the way, and on the side, they would have brought experts to make them one polished, well thought out live service game. They'd still be at the top, ahead of everybody else by a country mile. But of course, they won't do that. Because you see, greed can be very dangerous. And on top of everything, Sony isn't smart. And I'll explain what I mean in a different sense. You see, the old games, like Infamous, they don't have a storefront. So, naturally, Sony can't monetize the shit out of it. And because Sony's model has changed, and the push is completely to the live service side, they immediately dismiss any remakes or remasters without a second thought. You could say, well, Tom, they have done remasters. They've remade, like the other games like, Last of Us, Days Gone, or even Until Dawn. And I hear you, but here's the problem. All those games were launched alongside other editions, aside from the standard one, is what I mean, which basically means more revenue. But Prototype 1 didn't even have a pre-order option. You had to physically go to your local store to buy it. I'll give you another example. It's a bit of a tangent, but you'll understand what I mean when I say I'm going to explain it in a different sense. Those who follow the channel and have been watching my videos for, as long as they have, they probably know by now that I'm a huge DMC fan. The interesting thing about DMC, or Capcom I should say in general, is that the games that they produce, everything is inside the game. Okay? From the story, the narrative, whatever they want to do, it's inside the game, and it comes with different things, such as challenges, such as Easter eggs, things that you can physically perform in the game to get the additional stuff that they have put in. You just have to play the game and find it out. But here's the cleverness of Capcom. Here's what it comes through. There are additional stuff that you have to buy, okay, which is reasonably priced, but they do it in two different ways. For example, here's the thing. There are the OG skins for Resident Evil 2 Remake that are literally inside the game. You play the game, you get them. That's it. Yeah? But for DMC, the difference is when you go to buy something on the basically add-ons section, it says, this is an instant unlock. So it goes to mention that, look, you can play the game, you can complete challenges, and you can gain what you're trying to buy with real money by just playing the game itself. Okay? It's a clever way of monetization, which says, guys, play the game, earn it. Or if you don't want to play it, you just want to get this first day, that's fine. You can still buy it. The option is there for you. but it's transparent. It mentions and it warns you that, buddy, you're trying to get this. You can play the game and get it, okay, for free. It's baked inside the game. Now with Resident Evil 2 Remake is a little different, but you get my point. The point is that you have the option. So you might ask now, why am I using this as my point of argument? You see, if you're smart, you use the system to not only profit, but also stay popular. If you want to monetize, you should. But you should do it in a manner that feeds into nostalgia, but isn't predatory. Put the OG stuff in the game and also make it interesting, like completing challenges and discovering Easter eggs and whatnot. But also on the side, have that door, have that option for whoever that wants to open it and enter, like Capcom. And be transparent about it, that yes, you are spending real money when you can unlock this for free in your own game. Give people the option. People want to spend and they can spend it. Some people don't, they don't. That's it, that's fine. The entirety of Resident Evil 2 Remake's additional stuff is $11.99 in GBP. Every additional thing that I can get for DMC5 is $7.99. You see these numbers, this is a monetization plan. It's a monetization scheme, but it's reasonable. For someone like me who's played just DMC5, the special edition, alone 11 times over, I don't have to spend money because I genuinely love the game. So I keep going back to it, and I'm a little crazy with this stuff. I finished the game and I switched the language and I played again. So I did the same thing with Ninja Gaiden and Stellar Blade, you know. I've played on English, then I go and play it on Japanese, then I play it on Korean. I just want to keep the thing fresh for me. But my point being is that you've given people that option, that whoever wants to spend money, they can spend money. Whoever that doesn't, you can just play the game. With the older games, there is no deluxe edition. There are no add-ons. There are no season passes, all right? There's nothing that you can sell it with. So that means this is a one-time purchase. And that is not enough for these greaseballs. They don't recognize this as success. They don't look at it that way, even though it is. They would outsell the entirety of exclusives, like Infamous 1 would outsell the entirety of the exclusives that PS5 has had in its entire lifetime. The one-time purchase brought people joy, created amazing memories, and in return, the companies prospered because they had generated a genuine revenue and popularity. But I guess that's not enough these days, because it means less revenue, and Sony, as it is right now, is all about maximum profit. Someone told me they shouldn't make any more remakes or remasters, and I asked why. He said, because they'll just fuck it up, staining the cherished memories once created. Which, by the way, I disagree with. I wholeheartedly believe if you do a faithful remake like Resident Evil 2 Remake or or RE4 Remake, then you're justified to charge whatever you like because you're reminding people of those very cherished moments that they once created. And through this new experience, they get to make new ones. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you like it. Let me know what game you'd like to see remade. Personally, I want DMC 2. That shit was a banger, man. But yeah, anyways, as always, thank you for listening to me. I hope you have a great day. Take care of yourselves, and peace be with you.